In this episode of Mighty Car Mods, Black Chops is back.
Welcome to another episode of Mighty Car Mods. I have been so looking forward to getting back into this beastie V8 powered nugget. It's such a fun car to build. We had to put it together really quickly. The result was awesome. It does amazing skids. It makes good power. Could make more power, of course. But it's a really, really nice car to drive.
What is it? It's a V8 powered Euro nugget with an LS3 under the bonnet. It's a skid machine, Martin, isn't it?
It is a skid machine. It goes sideways very nicely. It's got heaps of power, heaps of torque, all the things you'd expect from a V8.
I like that. It's got heaps of power, which is why
we need to go and try and extract more.
We need to put more power.
But actually, there's a few things as we were putting it together that we realised needed to be addressed, and one of them was some of the issues we had with the floor. Which I attached a aluminium oven tray to stop my shoe melting while we're on the dyno.
Yeah, we're going to get that fixed properly. But first, Martin, the engine has to come back out. But before that, also, the car now has, there you go, some custom plates, yes, which is excellent.
It's no secret.
So, Martin, this is a big project. It was something that we had to do really quickly. To get it done before, and now we can actually spend some time fixing some things that needed to be done.
An E30 Coupe has been a bucket list car for me for a long time. I love how it looks, I love how it goes. It's now just about refinements and making this thing awesome, fixing the inside, fixing the outside, maybe adding a bit of power, who knows, make it stop better, all those things. So let's go. I'm going to go and rip the engine out.
More power. And after that, I'm going to go down to the body shop and we're going to sort out some of the repairs that need to be done down there. And all in all, give this car the glory that it deserves. So Martin, good luck with the engine, and I will see you at the body shop.
Keen. Oh, we're back. We are back in the E30. What a car. It's just, the power is just... Yes! So good! LS3 and a tiny little E30. I've come out to see Laurence at Brintech, who's offered to help us revisit and modify our car using his hoist, shop and expertise with all things Euro and V8. Have you done any more V8s in Beamers since we last saw you?
A couple, mate, yeah.
A couple.
Yeah.
I love driving this thing. It's torquey, it's just so good. But there was one thing last time we were here that we left, which was, we had a bit of rust in it.
Oh, the rust, yeah.
And we didn't have the time to go and put in a paint shop for 2 weeks and fix it.
Nope.
But now we do.
Okay.
But I reckon to get to that, motor's got to come out, yeah?
Yeah, take the motor out, fix the rust. Maybe do something to the motor while it's out. Maybe, have a look.
Nah, we shouldn't do that.
No?
It's faster.
All right, no worries.
No one wants more power in there.
Well, while you're off getting the rust sorted, I'll just make sure it's no oil leaks and,
All right, let's do it.
Okay,
let's just go. You often hear that installation is a reversal of the removal process, and today that is absolutely the case. We're disconnecting everything from the engine and dropping it straight out the bottom. And speaking of engines, there are so many awesome engine swap combinations for E30s, being rear-wheel drive chassis with an accommodating engine bay, which means you're basically only limited by budget, ability, creativity, and of course power goals. With that in mind, we considered all sorts of engines for this build from various manufacturers, and of course BMW engines as well, because we know that for BMW purists, purity and badge faithfulness is a huge deal. So when it came time to choose, I decided that an LS with a quality install kit was the way to go. It may not be as original or quirky as an ITB orbital rotary K-series electric steam hybrid, but it just works. So it is a pretty big job disconnecting everything, but with all the electrical out of the way and the drive shafts and some of the suspension, we can drop it all out the same way that we put it in by putting it on a bench and lifting the car off it. Still pretty easy considering how customized all that is. One of the many quirks of this chassis is that the brake booster and master cylinder is on the left-hand side of the engine bay. So on our right-hand drive car, there's a shaft that runs along the inside of the firewall with a lever arrangement to make the brakes work from the opposite side. And we're pretty sure our brake system is what has caused our rust issue. So the engine's just dropped onto the table. First thing I noticed about this front bolt from the subframe is that it is covered in brake fluid, which is right directly under our master and booster arrangement. So we kind of knew that something was up with that anyway, but this confirms it, so that's all got to come out. We'll replace it so we get no more leaks, therefore no more rust. free. We're free!
Send it.
Yoo! And our engine is released from the clutches of the old Beamer. And there it is. The package that makes it awesome and fast and torquey and just a whole lot of fun. I wonder if we could make it faster.
The engine or the car?
Both.
Yeah, all right. Well, I'll roll
All
this
right.
up.
Oh, you
No
don't need
problem.
much convincing. All right.
Yeah, that's the beauty of these things, mate.
But first things first, the car's got rust in it. So we're going to fix that because the car's too good to let rust like that. So we are going to get under there and have a look and get some expert advice on how to sort that out, and probably actually expert help, because that's a little bit above what I can do with an old oven tray, which is what's in there at the moment to stop the exhaust heat hitting in the foot. With the engine on the bench, it's a perfect time to remove the gearbox and see how our clutch is holding up. The light weight of the car means there's less stress on everything, and on inspection, it all seems good. We also need to get the clutch and flywheel off so we can stick the engine on an engine stand. This is Shaylin, who runs Hasserati Smash Repairs, and he's agreed to come and check out the rust to see if it can be repaired. So I used a aluminium baking tray when we're on the dyno so that my foot wouldn't get roasted. So I apologise for the tech screws holding that in, but I'm sure you guys can sort that out too. Have you ever seen that before?
Not on a firewall. It's a little bit unusual.
Not a baking tray?
No. Unless you want to cook something with it.
Well, it cooks, man. It cooked my shoe.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So it's, we're going to obviously, I think that all the problems came from the brake master.
Yeah, it looks.
So we're going to replace all that first.
All right, okay, yeah, possibly leaking, that wouldn't help, yeah. It's always good to find a cause first to see what's actually done it. But yeah, that should be all right.
It should be all right. There is no better words to hear from someone when they're offering to help fix your car. Now that the engine is out, all we have to do is put the front subframe back in so the suspension and steering works, and the shell can be taken away to Shaylin's workshop. So the cross member is going back in so that the car rolls again. We can put wheels on, we've got steering. We need to put our power steering hoses like into a bottle or something so it doesn't spew fluid every time we move the thing. But this means you can go to the paint shop and get panel shop and paint shops, so that by the time we're putting the engine back in, we have a rust-free E30, which is what everyone wants. Not everyone gets, but we're gonna have it. It's gonna be awesome.
Okay, so now we've got the engine out. We've got good access here. We'll undo the brake lines, take the master and booster out.
Yep.
We've got 4 30mm nuts on the inside to undo and a clevis pin.
Yep.
And we can get that out of the way, and Shaylin can do his rust repairs, and yeah, we'll just tidy all this other stuff away.
This is our Renault booster, is it?
Yeah, Renault Clio 2.
Yeah.
Same bolt pattern on the firewall, same bolt pattern on the master side. Really easy fit to these cars.
And we did it for clearance, right?
Yeah, they're a smaller diameter than the factory booster,
Yeah.
and they still retain enough booster assistance to get a nice squishy pedal
make
feel.
it drive well.
Yeah.
So then we basically just got to tuck everything out of the way so they can do their panel work down there, pull off a couple of lines, get rid of all the wires, and then it's a steerable rolling shell.
Yeah.
It's just how it'll stay for maybe a week or two while that happens.
Yep, absolutely.
Then we do some things to our engine.
Yeah, where is it? Over there. Yeah, we'll do some stuff to that,
And then whack it back in.
Yeah.
Amazing.
All right, cool.
Leaking master cylinders and leaky batteries both accelerate rust issues, and when your car's been cruising the streets for over 30 years, there's a good chance you'll be dealing with stuff like this. These cars were made to be quiet and comfortable, but the sound deadening in the engine bay just caught the liquids, held them against the metal, and made everything worse. Right, very happy with that. LS3 is on the bench, ready for some upgrades. If we were going to upgrade it, we could if we wanted to. It's out, maybe we should. And the E30 is going to get some well-needed rust repairs as well. So that's going to happen. We'll show you a bit of how that's going to go down. And then we'll come back, all together, all of us. And we're going to put it all back together. And if we happen to put some stuff in it that makes it a bit faster, that's great.
And because it's going to go faster, I think we need to put something in behind the wheels as well when it comes back.
Brakes.
Yep.
So big brakes, maybe performance. How do you say performance? Performance upgrades. It's been a long day working on Beamers. That's it, I'm out of here.
All right.
Kebab time.
Done.
See you, man.
See ya.
Thanks.
The car has made its way to Shaylin's workshop on a tow truck, and he's agreed to let me be the work experience kid for the day.
So the next step in our BMW update is of course fixing the rust. Now there are a number of areas in the engine bay that have rust, and also some areas in the passenger footwell, but luckily they are treatable. So we're down here today at a body shop and we are going to be getting them sorted, ready for the LS3 to go back in the engine bay.
Shaylin's no stranger to rust repairs. He's got a fleet of old mad cars that he's restored and put back on the road. Our climate here in Australia is pretty gentle on cars compared to some cold, snowy or salty parts of the world, but big holes in your car are bad no matter where you live, so today we're going to sort it out. Once any rust has been cut out, the process is to measure up and cut out a patch. This is new metal, the same thickness as the body of the car. It can then be cleaned up, bent into the approximate shape and painted, ready to be welded in.
All right, so we've fabricated up this plate, and this here is a little piece from the actual car that has been welded in there so that we get perfect fitment. What is the deal with this paint? It's got a very, very specific feel about it.
All right, MOOG, so this is a special paint called POR. It actually stands for paint over rust, and it's basically used on chassis. It's like an anti-chip coating, and it's very durable, basically.
Yeah.
So it just prevents any further rust coming on the plate once we weld it in, and that's basically it, yeah.
Shall we see if it fits?
Yeah, I think we better.
I hope it does. Let's have a look. Oh, that looks good. What do you reckon, mate? Do we get a thumbs up on that one?
Yeah, that's perfect.
So now we'll weld it in. Is that right?
That's it, and we're going to give you a go.
After securing the new plate into place and blowing a few more holes in the floor, I'm leaving this to the professionals to finish off. Then the repairs will be painted inside and out, and our car is one step closer to being finished.
Thank you very much, mate. I think I butchered some of that welding, so thank you. All right, so the guys are going to finish off the car now, which is great, and we'll be back in a couple of days. But for now, it's back to Brintech to finish off the engine. So we've got the LS3 out of the E30, and now it is time to start modifying this engine. And the way that we're going to be doing that is installing a cam. Now that's a very common modification to do with this engine, because apparently it's a fairly simple thing to do, even though it takes some time. We're about to find out because we're both apprenticing today, but we should be seeing gains of maybe 10, 15, 20%, which is pretty incredible when you're talking about changing one component. But it isn't just one, there are a few other things like push rods, Martin.
Supporting mods, liftery things. This is
we'll
all a bit
be going
mysterious to
through.
me. I've never changed a cam in an LS engine before.
We're making it be the car of its dreams and our dreams, because when we first built it, we had very limited time. It was done quickly. Luckily, we had the guys at Brintech. They were putting in lots of time helping us, but it was done in a very compacted time frame, and that's why some of these things were not done. And now it's time to
That's right.
get it done properly.
And a cam is like, it's a power adder. We are going to get more power out of the engine, but we can do it without changing the physical shape and dimensions of the engine. So you don't have to put a big blower on it. You don't have to hang turbos out of it. It is like a pretty small car and a small engine bay. And also, does that car need 1,000 horsepower? No, it doesn't. But the horsepower we're going to get out of this with a cam should make it even more fun to drive. So let's strip it down.
It's actually going to become, as we all know, a very tasty 240Z competitor, isn't it? Because we all know that's where this is going, don't we? I mean, we can all pretend that we're just here to do this, but we're actually here so that we can have some E30 and RB 240Z.
The 240Z
drives.
makes just over 300 kilowatts. This currently makes just under 300 kilowatts.
Yeah.
We've got to even that up a little bit.
And so, I mean, 240Z's making 330.
Something like that.
And this here will make 350 maybe?
Nah,
330 to 350?
I don't reckon it'll go that hard, but we're going to get closer.
Maybe.
We'll get closer.
We're going to find out.
It's going to be awesome. Let's strip
Yep,
this
let's
thing
do it,
out. Let's do
Martin.
it.
LS swaps are common these days, just like V8 swaps have been forever. And you have to ask yourself why. Well, cheap, reliable and fast, and when you add in simple, it starts to make more and more sense. As far back as the 1930s, car guys with a need for speed were installing 30-litre aeroplane engines. And while these days there are more replacements available, displacement still very much has its advantages.
Throwing out the rubbish.
I think what he means to say is that it's going
In the bin!
Yeah, thank you.
With this upgrade on an otherwise stock block, we're going to be pushing out over 500 horsepower at the engine. We already know this thing is a blast to drive, it's super capable, and we know it's no heavier than it used to be. We are unwrapping our banana, and we're slowly discovering why people love having these engines in their cars. It's also worth mentioning that here in Australia, the LS replaced our locally made Holden V8 in 1999. It was controversial at the time, and we've only ever got alloy blocks, never iron, and they aren't in every second truck, motorhome, RV or bus that you see on the road. And then we missed the 5th generation of the engine that replaced the LS, because here in Australia, the popularity of full-size sedans that these motors came in dropped consistently to the point where local manufacturers just closed down, taking the source of these swappable engines with them.
Making some good progress on our engine teardown. All the auxiliary stuff on the front is gone. We've got the covers off, and now we're going to take the heads off.
Now all the rockers and the push rods, we're keeping them, we're being organised today, so they've got their own little box, so this is kind of the oily box. And then if you have a look over here, we've also got a couple of trays which are from the outside. We've got a left side and we've got a right side, and that means when we put it back together, I don't know where the right side box has gone. I was just telling everyone how organised we are. Where's our other box gone?
All these bolts are going in the bin because we have to put new ones on so they're all torqued and stretched and the heads are all on correctly.
So our engine is a 6.2 litre V8. So if we do some rough maths on that so we can get some per cylinder sizing, we're going 6,200 divided by 8 means that the cubic capacity is 775 cc per cylinder, meaning it is, one of these is 115 cc more than Marty's whole K-truck. So that would actually be your K-truck plus a Honda CT110 postie bike is the equivalent of one of these.
So you've got like a K-truck postie bike, mirror, that'd be like, that's a Mini?
Yes.
Isn't it like a 1.3?
Yeah. A Civic, you know, there's many cars in one.
There's a couple of cars
But
worth of
why
power.
have all of those shit boxes when you can just have an LS?
So many
That's
people
the real
are agreeing
question.
with you, man. So many people are nodding their heads. That's right. That's it.
V8.
V8 power.
Damn it.
This is Tony. He builds engines for Brintech and his own E30 race car. He said we can't have his BMW V10 he's been working on, but we can have some expert help with our cam swap.
He is the breaking bad of the engines, but he doesn't break them, and he's not bad. He's the fixing good. Sorry. Anyway, Tony, can you tell us a little bit about your history with engines and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I've been dedicated working on engines only since January '89. I wanted to work on engines as a specialty, so I moved to MTU Australia at the time, and that's a division of Daimler-Benz. It's mainly military engines, so they were marine and armoured vehicle engines. So
Yes.
in Australia, we were working on we had the Fremantle class patrol boats,
Yep.
and we had the Leopard 1 main battle tanks for the Australian Army.
Okay. That sounds like a good ground of learning how to
They were
make stuff.
They were great. I learned a lot, and I appreciated what I was working on at the time.
Yep.
So it's a really, really specialised engine. They were hot rods of the marine engine world, if you like.
Now, even though you come from the hot rod of marine engine world, you're also still a fan of the LS. What is it that you like about these engines so much?
The design, GM engineers have gone, beyond what was expected, I believe, when they initiated the LS series, and it just kept on improving ever since, right up until today.
Yeah.
What we get here in Australia are typically the Gen 3s and Gen 4s.
Yeah.
And these Gen 4s, these LS3s is the peak, really, of the production stuff that we got en masse.
Yes.
They're simple, they're reliable, they're cheap to get power increases out of.
And there's millions of these engines around, right? Which
Yeah,
means that
yeah.
actually getting products is
Yeah.
not that hard and not
No,
that expensive because
no.
there's so many of these engines
That's
around.
That's right. So, like everyone says, bang for your buck, it's hard to beat.
Yes.
They're lightweight because they're aluminium.
Yeah.
And they're simple. They're easy to get power out of.
Yeah.
And they're bigger capacity. You'll go to other engines like the Coyote's a good engine. Don't get me wrong. Ford have gone really fantastically with that engine too. But it's hard to beat Cubes on the street. That's the thing. Cubes is king on the street when it comes to normally aspirated engines like this. So.
I'm not going to be a king on the street until I pull this off. Can you teach me how to get rid of this?
It's a simple tamper pull here.
Tony said to start ripping things off the engine and he'll yell at us if we do anything wrong. To begin with, the crank pulley and sump both need to be removed so we can get to the oil pump.
This here is the bolt that I snapped when we were putting this project together. So considering that this bolt is still in one piece, we're already ahead, people, aren't we? We're already doing better than last time. There it is, look
Except
at that.
I got
in
really
one piece.
nervous because there's actually 2 bolt holes. But
Yes.
Tony was saying that GM just decided to put 1 bolt in it. So it looks like one was missing, which is straight away when I went, oh my God, there's a bolt. No, there's no bolt.
But they can save a few cents by only putting one in there, Mark.
Yeah, he got to come off too. Is he 12? No, it'd be 13, won't it?
He's
Because
bigger.
LS.
He's
It's gonna be
bigger.
13. The timing cover is off, and here we can see the timing chain, crank and cam. We're actually going to replace these guides here, which is going to stop the chain whipping around. You can replace it with this sort of solid block thing. It's a nice little upgrade. Tony was saying it's, you know, these should be replaced when they can be, and if you've got this motor out, you might as well do it. But we're actually going to modify it and put one of those in instead.
The timing chain in this engine is tiny compared to what we're used to dealing with in our other cars. Again, this is a big tick for simplicity. And it is possible to do this kind of mod with the engine in the car. And depending on what you're upgrading, you don't even need to remove the heads. Tony has some tips about making your own tools to make this job easier, and it seems in engine building, making your own tools is all part of it.
You can see it down through this hole there. You can see it on the lower part of the,
Yep.
the hole there. You can see that's where the oil flows through there. So some wooden dowels with a plane, just make a flat side on. I think it was 6 or 8 mil dowel, and then pass that through so it's a really neat fit. And that dowel then sits in that area there and locks it so it can't drop.
Who would have thought you're using some wood to
Yeah, it's
rebuild
cool.
engine bits, you know?
Yeah, there's so much tool making, isn't there?
It
Yeah.
works. Yeah, but and they're only basic, simple tools.
Yeah.
And you can do it in your own garage. You know,
Yep.
it's so easy.
Yep.
And you keep those wooden dowels as a LS tool.
That was tool.
So you put them both in. So once you flip the cam, the dowels go in as insurance. Out comes your cam. In goes your new cam up. In goes your new cam.
Speaking
Pull
of
your dowels
out comes the cam, I think it's time, people.
It is time. It is time.
Let's go.
Next up, our lifters are coming out, the engine is being turned 180 degrees, and a handle is being screwed into the end of the cam to make removal as simple and damage-free as possible.
So all of this work so far has brought us to this very specific moment, which is the cam coming out. How are you going there, Martin?
I was talking to Tony just then about like rotating and being really careful to not wreck any bearing surfaces because it'd be quite easy to do. So he's saying just like you gently rotate and away it goes. It's I'm sure if you've done this a million times, you'd be like, nah, just send it. But I don't want to wreck my reasonably expensive LS3.
And the advantage of doing it upside down is that you can't do that in your car unless you've had a really bad day.
Put on a lid and then pull the cam out.
And it also means that if there is any scratching, it's happening at the top, is that right? Which is of less relevance than on the bottom. There it is. That is why we're here.
Stock LS3 cam. And now we replace this and apparently some magic happens and we go faster.
Apparently.
That's the rumour.
Have another one that kind of looks a little bit similar but sort of the same and a little bit different.
Yeah.
And we put that in and then your skid is bigger.
Apparently. So I'm going to have a bit of a chat to Tony, the engine builder, master expert guy, about the difference between this, like why do it, what do the numbers mean, and let's do a bit of learning.
He's the Walter White of the LS3 world and you're Jesse Pinkman, bitch.